Welcome to Revelations with Sequita, where faith, healing, and real talk meet. So, today we're going to dive right into the big one. We're going to start with the first video in this series. We're going to start with talking about generational cycles. And what that is that's patterns, beliefs, and thoughts that are passed down from one generation to the next. And I know it sounds a bit heavy, but this one right here is personal. Because if you've ever looked at your life and you thought about, like, why do I keep up ending up here? Why do I do things a certain way? Why do I think about things a certain way? Because there is a time in your life that is going to come up if it hasn't already came up, which is what led you to this video. Because usually they come up right about reaching 30 and right about reaching 40 or right after 40, sometimes between that 40 and 50 age, because it has happened to me, and it has happened to multiple people that I've spoken to. Multiple people. They're in their late 20s, things start happening, they start questioning everything, and it also happens around 40 as well. Now, when I say generational cycles, I'm talking about your habits. I'm talking about your thoughts. I'm talking about your beliefs, your belief system, and your behaviors that get passed down, sometimes knowingly and unknowingly, sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly. And it goes from one generation to the next. It's your unspoken lessons and barriers that you inherit that you don't even think about. It's like, if you've ever heard money doesn't grow on trees, or one that I heard from my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, would be that money is just burning a hole in your pocket. Wow. If we speak those things, money is burning a hole in our pocket, guess what? More than likely that person doesn't keep money. They probably spend more money than they have, or they spend everything they have and they don't have a savings or, a rainy day fund. See, that's a generational. You see, a rainy day fund. Guess what happens? You save money and you don't invest your money. You don't use it to push you forward. You use your money for when bad things happen. So when those rainy day comes where the car breaks down, unexpected tax bill, you see how they can be passed down silently, knowingly, and unknowingly, and you not even realize it, that you're still saying it. Okay, and sometimes it's just silence. It's how we see our parents and people in our family handle conflict, how they handle love, how they handle being in loss and lack. So we have learned how they have how they experience those seasons in their life and how they endure through them. And before we know it, we've picked up those same patterns. Even if we say, oh, we would never do that. Many times, if you say that you're never going to be like that, you're never going to do that, you actually turn up like that. They may be covert with it. You may be overt with it. I'm just the messenger. I'm just going to say it to you. I'm just going to be real with you, and yet compassionate and kind. Generational cycles are like silent scripts. That's what I call them. They're going to teach us how to think, how to love, how to respond, even how big we dream, right? Until we start questioning everything within our families. And many times there's something that happens. It could be a loss of a loved one. It could just be a change in your life. You get a new job, you move to a new city, you get married, or have a baby, or get a new job. All of these things, we have things in our life that happen, whether they could be trauma or whether they're great things that are going to propel us forward. So when you start thinking about those things, you start figuring out, wait a minute, what is really going on? I didn't realize that I thought about things that way. You know, I know I was taught to be strong. So I was taught to be strong in life. When I went to work, I was taught to be strong. When I was out in the world, I was taught to be strong in my marriage. So strong that I became hyper independent on myself, not even realizing that I had a partner, that I did not have to do it all myself, but it's what I was taught and it's what I saw. A person being strong because they had no one else. But I didn't know how to transition getting married, that you don't have to be hyper independent because you have a partner, and you guys are partners and you're not by yourself. And it was just, and I realized Holy Spirit was like, the revelation that I received was like, you're not fighting a battle that is yours. You're fighting someone else's battle. You have taken up the mantle to continue fighting a battle that isn't yours to fight. It's not your life, you know? So that revelation kind of shook me. It kind of just changed everything because I didn't realize that I was carrying someone else's story, someone else's, you know, lack in their life. And it wasn't mine. So when we live inside of these cycles, they shape how we see the world. They're going to affect our relationships. They're going to affect our faith in God. They're going to affect our finances. And we start to think small, or we begin to think within a box. And we don't even realize that we have created imaginary boundary lines around our life. And if we don't recognize it, we'll pass it on to our children, you know? But I will tell you that there is there is good news, because it's you. Is that God gives every family a generational cycle breaker. He gives every family the opportunity, a person in that family, to start over. Now, everyone has the opportunity to do it. Not everyone will answer the call. Not everyone will step out. And breaking generational cycles can be difficult because you will find yourself alone, because you may not go to the family functions like you used to. You may not hang out with the family like you used to. You will notice that the phone calls you don't answer. A lot of the things that you talked about and you agreed with, you don't do anymore. And because it just doesn't seem right. You're convicted. It's like the Lord is, nope, that's not right. Nope, I don't want you to be, participating in that. And that is the beginning of breaking the generational cycles. But it doesn't mean that you're dishonoring the family or the people before you. I don't feel like I'm dishonoring my parents or my grandparents in any way. But I will heal what hurt me, and I will heal what was hurting them. But in that generation, they just went with the program. And I think a lot of it is just not being aware. I began to be aware because I was convicted. And there was a conviction that I could not just push to the side or not take seriously. It was a heavy. So I had to unlearn what I had to learn to survive. And I had to relearn, like I had to surrender all of that. I had to give it up. And in giving it up, you be by yourself. You be by yourself. It's lonely. You be on that island alone. But on that island alone allows you to reflect. It allows you to look to the Lord, because that's all you have when you're out on that island. And just something deep down inside, you know that the Lord is all you have. And there is no one that you can turn to. Yes, you may have a husband, you may have friends, but the Lord is really like, you're going to have to surrender to me everything that you thought you knew. Everything that you thought you knew. So I'm not going to keep you long, but when you're on that island alone, that's when the revelations begin to hit you. There are these little just whispers of knowledge and wisdom that it's like once you hear them, it's like you've always known them, like they've been locked away. And your surrender to God, and it's like, oh, I've always known that. And we'll go deeper into that later. There'll be a video later on to why you've always known that information, even though it seems so new to you, but yet you can't quite remember where you've heard it from. But remember that you are called to break patterns, and it's just if you decide to answer the call. And I'm going to be honest with you. You may be alone when you do this, and you're going to have to be okay with being alone. Now, if this revelation spoke to you, I want you to share this video with someone you know needs it. I want you to leave a comment below, and I want you to tell me, what generational pattern are you in the process of breaking? And until next time, I want you to keep healing. I want you to keep listening. I want you to keep walking in revelation. Bye.